The core of the issue we are discussing here today is the shambolic approach by the government to the asylum issue from its outset. And the government are now attempting to present the EU Migration Pact as a catch-all solution to the current crisis, the root of which lies in government failure to develop a coherent plan. Ultimately, you are operating a reactionary approach to events as they develop. If the government had a fair, efficient and enforced system where the rules were actually implemented, we wouldn't be in the situation we are today. The vast majority of measures in the EU Asylum and Migration Pact do not serve Ireland's interests. Ireland's sovereignty cannot be impeded in the development of a fair, efficient and enforced system, and we can only do this by exercising our opt-out from a majority of the Pact's proposals. The government must retain the capacity to make its own decisions regarding key aspects of our asylum system, and this includes faster processing of applicants, compiling our own list of safe countries so those who are not genuine asylum seekers can be returned to their safe country of origin. The government's approach is completely wrong, and we will oppose opting into the measures that are unhelpful, which gives power to the EU and which will tie the hands of future governments. Because the government has failed to implement its own rules, the whole asylum system is completely overwhelmed with bottlenecks at every level. And Sinn Féin will be voting no to the government's proposal to opt Ireland fully into the EU Migration Pact because we must retain our sovereignty over these matters if we are to have an immigration system that is fair, efficient and enforced. The reactionary approach by government without a plan has absolutely failed. They have absolutely and totally failed to meaningfully engage with local communities also, resulting in a shambolic system and an absolutely shambolic approach, which has given rise to unrest within communities where trust has absolutely broken down and has alienated communities right across the state. They've been bounced from one crisis to another, leaving a trail of civil disharmony in their wake. And there's been no approach, a consistency in their approach, no effort whatsoever to work with local communities or indeed public representatives within those communities. Some, including myself, Minister, it has to be said, found themselves actively lied to by the department, and this deceit from the outset regarding moves by the government in respect of IPAS accommodation in Newtown Mount Kennedy, in my own constituency of Wicklow, where I and the community were lied to about the true intent regarding the use of Riverview House at Trudder, and the inexplicable conduct and mismanagement by the government undermined public representatives in the area, contributing to the chaos that has ensued, which has been replicated in communities right across the state. Communities have been treated to meaningless promises from the government, including from the previous Taoiseach, who promised that funding for local services would be made available to the 10 areas hosting the most refugees, notwithstanding the fact the government has yet to deliver on this. It also illustrates the government's failure to understand the pressure that communities across the state face as a result of the government's abandonment of its social responsibilities. The reality for local communities who are not thugs, who are not far right, who are not racists, is that successive governments have overseen the decline of their local services and amenities. They have genuine concerns. Under the current system, it takes years to process applications. The average processing time is currently over 12 months, with many applications taking 3 to 4 years, and at the end there is zero enforcement. And even when a decision is made to refuse an application, the decision is not enforced. Only 80 deportation orders were enforced in 2023 out of 734 which were signed. There are currently over 29,283 international protection applicants who have claimed asylum in this state. Over 10,800, Minister, of these have been left waiting for a decision for 16 months or more. That is 37% of applications, and that is why there's bottlenecks in the system. And to conclude, Minister, we need a fair, efficient and enforced asylum system to be put in place immediately. By ceding our sovereignty to the EU on this issue, we are undermining our own capacity to deal effectively with this issue, and that is why Sinn Féin will be voting against the Migration Pact, and we call on the Government to do so also.
Thank you.